Hello everybody, my name is Megan Shirley. I'm posting on the concept of Western civilization and its relevance today. The first thing I want to talk about here is what exactly is Western civilization? Where did it come from? As both Acme Anthony Appiah and Lawrence Birkin demonstrate in their respected publications, Western civilization is not just one or two civilizations. It's not just the Greeks and the Romans. And in fact, the term Western civilization is very misleading because it imposes too many restrictions and suggests that Western civilization was just the Greeks and the Romans, that it was a physical location. This is not true. The concept of Western civilization is more fluid than that. And so were the ideas that we now attribute to Western civilization. Ideas of democracy, republicanism, the idea of having a constitution, what is liberty and freedom, and who are these rights guaranteed to. These all come from the Greeks, the Romans, the Germanic people of Europa and Indo-Eurasia, and later culminating in later nations such as England, later Britain, and finally coming to the United States of America. Now, it is true that we see very many similarities in our own government to those of the Greeks and Romans, mainly in our political structure. We get democracy from the Greeks. It means rule of the people. We are ruled by the people through direct election of our House of Representatives and other members of the government, like the Senate. We, the people, have the right to vote for these senators. However, we do not choose the number of senators to each state. The president is kind of elected directly by the people, but the Electoral College is more in terms or in line with a indirect form of democracy. Our judicial judges, the Supreme Court judges, are in place by the president. Therefore, it is an indirect democracy in that we elected the president and he elected those judges. Now, the term length of these government leaders, I would have to have more time to get into, but they are very similar in concept to the Greeks and the Romans. Now, Constitution was a Greek concept. They wanted the government leaders to be held accountable, for the citizens to be held accountable. So, and in the Greek world, it was held mainly to the city-states. The Romans took it a bit further with the 12 tables and applied it to the whole Roman Republic and Roman Empire. The kingdoms established by the Anglo-Saxons did the same thing. The laws of Alfred are a good source to use there. All of this eventually resulted in government documents in England and Britain, such as the Magna Carta and the English Bill of Rights. Now, the Magna Carta, some of the language in there is almost identical in context, if not in terms, to those words of the United States constitutional amendments, such as a person cannot be imprisoned unjustly, they cannot be tried without a jury, their houses cannot be searched without a warrant. More of these rights were added in with the English Bill of Rights. However, it is important and also they were added in after the Enlightenment period and the Revolutionary War to our constitutional amendments. They were largely inspired by the past. We picked and chose what worked versus what didn't in the past. We learned our history and its mistakes. So, while people may oppose the term Western civilization, that's fine. But it is just a term to narrow the scope of investigation into intellectual history. And let's see here, I do want to briefly touch on something. These rights, even in America, are granted primarily to citizens. However, if you are an illegal alien, you are still granted basic human rights. They cannot starve you in prison or in the deportation centers. They're not supposed to. That's why they're getting in trouble. But anyway, these go back to the terms liberty and freedom. Liberty, from Latin libertas, was the freedom of the Roman citizen, according to the book by Juvenal. The Roman citizen had the liberty to act of his own will, so long as it did not infringe upon the liberty of another. Freedom is a concept more associated with the Germanic peoples, and even you can consider this biased history because the Germanic peoples did not leave writing. The Celtic people did not leave writing until much later. So the Romans, who wrote about these people first, kind of described them as barbarous and everything like that, but even the Celts and the Germanic peoples had a form of a direct democracy and an indirect one as well. So they did have some form of structured government. They were in no way uncivilized. But anyway, they had the freedom to act of their own volition, no matter the citizenship status. They all had inalienable rights. So, given that context, it can definitely be seen in our legal systems today. And most importantly, you might want to look at the Declaration of Independence. And I'm going to end that out here because I am way over time limit. Sorry. Thanks.